Welcome back to AskAPop. Today we're talking about charging up our daily lives. Back in the Stone Ages, we used to write on caves and communicate with smoke signals, and the phones had cords, so we couldn't go very far. Good thing that now we're so advanced to where we can store everything up in the clouds. Ain't that like smoke signals? And we got these fancy wireless phones that take a lot of power, so we have to charge them every single day, and that requires them to be plugged into the wall. I kid. That's what I do. But looking around at all the different ways that I am able to stay juiced up with all that power got me thinking about it reminded me about my spiritual batteries and how I try to stay charged up all the time there, both at home and on the go, just like with my spiritual or with my phone batteries. And y'all have heard me talk about my beloved Popeye and his theory on that. He always talked about the church being, going to church was kind of like charging up our spiritual battery using the car analogy and the car battery. He'd say that the church was kind of like the alternator, where you go into church on Sunday and it would charge up your spiritual battery. Then you could go home, you go out and run your battery all week long, and then come back into church and charge it back up. But don't get me wrong, going into church and hanging out with fellow believers in a gathering like that absolutely is a wonderful thing. Should do that as often as you can. But do you want to trust your battery to a single charge per week? What happens if your life happens and you don't get to go to church that week, or heaven forbid, a couple weeks in a row? What happens when your battery starts to run low? Personally, I don't want to get close to empty, and I feel much better when I'm much closer to full. So I try to find ways during the week to keep my battery closer to the full. I'll do devotionals, scripture readings, prayer, church. Now you're saying to yourself, wait a minute, Cease, didn't you just talk about church, the once a week thing? You're very astute. Yes, I did. But in this case, I'm talking about when Christ was talking about when two or more gather in his name, that's church. That's every time you sit and talk about Jesus with somebody else, you're in church. Ah, just some thoughts from a guy that's got more wires than he has sense, but it is well with my soul. The Bible verses today are Isaiah 40:25 through 31, and Matthew 18:18 through 20. As far as questions go, how many, if any, ways do you charge your spiritual batteries during the week? There's no judgment here. Would you like to do more? God bless you. Have a great day.